There are three main ways we can do our swan dive that we're going to look at today, and different positions just suit different people, so it's good to have options. Traditionally, this one was done with a crucifix leg the entire way down the pole and was done quite fast, thus the diving part of the name. But you don't have to do it like that. There are other options, and some people find the traditional way of doing it to be harder due to less back flexibility. Even I find that way a lot harder now that I've lost some flexibility over the last few years. So we don't need to worry too much about left and right per se, because it doesn't make much of a difference which side of the pole you're on. The basic steps are still the same, and all three leg positions still have the same foundations to the movement. So I will show them to you. We're going to mainly talk about the key points, and then I'll talk a little bit about how the legs can vary. Now, we're learning this at this stage from crucifix, but actually once you get comfortable, you can get to this position from so many other positions. This is actually my go-to exit for most things, particularly if it's like my safety exit. If I'm training and something goes wrong, in a lot of positions, I can get back to this kind of a position to slide, okay? The second shape we make is essentially a tammy. So having a tammy position could be helpful, but it's not super important at this point. Okay, waffling on, let's go for it. Let me show you the three different ones. So you will have seen this one at the beginning. This is with the crucifix legs. So our legs stay the same in a crucifix position. And a lot of people can go the whole way and almost keep their legs on the whole way. Everyone has to release their legs to a degree at the bottom, but many people can do that more easily. Like I said, some people find that very, very hard and cannot do that because their back will not bend that much. Okay. Second option is more of a tammy leg position. Doesn't actually matter which leg you take down, but one of your legs is going to go down and across into the pole. Same exact movement with everything else. Okay, our legs are just in a position that makes it a little bit easier. But even that position, for some people, can still be quite hard on their back flexibility. And there's also aesthetic reasons as to which one you might want to do as well. Personal preference, okay? Last one, we are literally just going to have the pole between our thighs. And there's actually two options with this one. You can keep the legs high, like I did there, or, so technically it's kind of four options, or you can bring the legs right down and do it more like a plank or a press up. Okay, so again, a lot of this is personal preference, but the key points are the same. Now, no matter which leg position you use, your legs are doing most of the work. This is not a press up. It's similar to a press up. The arm movement is similar to a press up, but the legs are holding you. You should, throughout your slide, be able to remove your hands and you're not plummeting, okay, no matter which leg grip you use. There's so many details to this one. Let me start breaking it down. The leg position should be fairly simple, but let me just talk about each one when I'm up there, okay? And then we'll talk about the other bits. I think that's the easiest way to do it. So let's talk leg position first, where we're squeezing, because that's what's going to hold you. And then we'll talk about the mechanics of the movement itself. So your crucifix one should be fairly simple because you should have a crucifix. So you literally just have to learn in your crucifix how much to squeeze, to hold or slide. The second option is you take one leg down and across. Like I said, it can actually be either. I think it looks prettier if you take the back leg, but it doesn't really matter. I'm squeezing my thighs together and I'm squeezing here, in, and I've got some push back through my foot. And then the last option, my legs, see how my legs are crossed? If you've got grippier legs than me, you might not need to grip them, squeeze them quite as much. You can probably have them side by side. I don't have very good grip. The grip is just between the thighs. And again, I am really squeezing, crossing my legs into the pole. So that's just 3 grip options. Now, the movement itself, again, the legs are the thing that's holding you. The arms is like doing a press up. And we need to keep the hips into the pole. So let's break it down. Doesn't matter which leg position you're using at this point. I would probably start with crucifix and see how you feel. So your hands are going to walk forward. Not too far. And you're trying to bring your chest away from the pole, but your hips have to stay in contact with the pole. No matter which option you do, it is fanny to the pole, okay? Keep those hips in. Then what you're going to do, your legs are doing the work, but you're going to keep your head up. It's hard for me to show you, but I'm really looking forwards because my hair's in the way. And I can technically take my hands off if I want. My hands are pulling my chest up just a little bit. And I'm looking forwards. And then my arms are just supporting and guiding me. Now, if you're doing the crucifix version, you will probably get to a point where you have to take 1 foot down. And in fact, no matter which version you do, the lower you get to the floor, the more likely you are to lose the grip. So I get to a certain point and I always take 1 foot down first. That allows me to be grounded and then I can take the other leg off. And we want to think we are trying to land on our chest. Okay, we land chest, then tummy, then hips. Okay, we don't want to come down in a weird order. Really important. So there was something I wanted to, okay, so let me show you again and I'll talk about some common issues. So again, doesn't really matter which leg position you use. Hands go to the floor. Set up your leg position, whether it's both legs off and squeezing together, one down and across, or both in crucifix. Walk the hands forward as much as you can, not as much as you can. You don't want to be reaching ahead. Look at this, I don't want to be reaching ahead. I want my hands directly under my shoulders, but I need to be able to keep my hips in and my chest away from the pole. Release the legs, just bend the arms in towards the elbow. You got to get your chest down first, or your face down first, then one of your legs, then you can release and drop your hips, okay? Now, the biggest mistake I see with this one every time is people putting their fucking elbows down. If you're one of my students, you've definitely heard me scream, stop putting your fucking elbows on the floor. So the key with this one is getting the hands in the right place. Because if they're too far forward, what happens is we end up coming down onto our elbows. And what we want is the hands to come in to either side of the chest, like in a press up. So let me show you the fuck up. So if you keep walking forwards, okay, like this, 1, you're arching your back a lot more. 2, it means your hips might start to come away, which will make it really hard because you'll lose your grip point. But also, as you're coming down, you do this. And then people get like stuck, okay, because their elbows are in the way of their movement. Because your arms aren't really supporting you, you want to get them in so you can get that smoothness and you can get the chest or the face down on the floor first, not the elbows. Because game over. Once the elbows go down, it's usually game over. People find it very hard to make it look graceful or to come down onto the tummy at that point. Now, arguably, if you were going to some kind of extreme forearm stand, that would be fine, but we're not. Camera issues as always. Okay, so I'm gonna sort this soon. Ugh. So yeah, we don't want to come down to those elbows, those arms reaching forward. We want to bring the hands under the shoulders and just brush the elbows past the body. I know that can feel scary because it feels like, because your head is past your hands, it feels like you're going to face plant. Okay, I get that. You won't if you manage to squeeze your legs effectively. Okay, so don't forget what your legs are doing. Just enough squeeze to stay on, not too much squeeze so you can't slide. So let's do one more breakdown and then I will leave you to practice. So up into your crucifix. Again, doesn't really matter which side of the pole you're on. Keep your hips in. Bring your hands where you can, take them under your shoulders, but bring your chest forward. Now, this is a flexibility thing. Some of you will be closer, that's okay. Choose your leg position, keep them both on. Take one down. Again, you can do either. Take both down, your decision. Keep the legs squeezing enough to hold you, but not too much that you can't slide. Elbows come in. One foot reaches down once you're on your base or your chest, and then the second one comes down to join you. Now, very briefly before we finish, let me just show you 2 ways we can get out of this position. The first is quite simple, but can be a little bit icky because we're going to scrape our legs around on the floor. So we're going to take our hands under our shoulders, push up, scoot our knees forwards, and then from here there's all kinds of different ways we could get up. Okay, you could just stand, you could pop and then do some kind of roll up. You could do, I would cup my hand behind me and we can do the rock and roll stand up that we learn at beginner level. And then you can actually just turn here, okay, or you can, whatever you want to do. Experiment, basically experiment. So the thing is, there's so many options and we're starting to get into a lot of details, but just to give you some ideas. And then the last way, I used this recently in a sequence actually, we are going to just reach one arm through, we're going to take our bum back and then just straighten the leg past the pole, okay? So do try and think about how you would like to get up from there. Don't do what my students were doing this week, which literally cracked me up, which was this. Some kind of demented worm. Try to find a nice way of doing it. Okay, that should be everything you need for this one. But as always, if you have any questions, do let me know. And don't forget to train smarter, not harder.